Hold that rotisserie chicken snugly in its paper aluminium foil hybrid bag as you wander around the shelves of the Last Video Store. Welcome into it. I'm your host, Alexi Toliopoulos, and on this show, we talk to interesting people about their favorite films. Joining us on the show this week, it is the guys behind and in front of the Weekly Planet and Caravan of Garbage, some of the most fun popular culture discourse that there is online. We've got Mrs. Sunday Movies, James Clement, and Nick Mason. I absolutely adore these guys. They're so freaking funny, and they've also been so supportive of me, so it's always nice to get these guys to jump on in to talk about movies. They've done Total Reboot a bunch of times. I just jumped on the Weekly Planet to talk about Alien Romulus. If you want to hear my freaking thoughts about that insane piece of action science fiction cinema. But what they're going to do, they're going to talk about their favorite films in the style of an old school video store rental combo that they're picking up from here, the Last Video Store, of one new release, 2 weeklies, and then I'm going to give them a bespoke customized recommendation based on their taste. And if you want a recommendation based on your taste, all you need to do is give us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or even just a DM on Instagram or a comment on one of our YouTube videos, including this one right here, and I'll give you a recommendation just like I'm going to give them in a few minutes' time. Here is a recommendation from Dan on Instagram. He says, great podcast. So many memories of VHS stores. Shout out to Henna Street Videos, RIP Warrnambool, right next to Henna Street Fish and Chips. Whoa, okay, that's a common theme that comes up. His videos, he's picking 2 weeklies here. Wall-E, this movie has so many great themes and memories with my kids. And then he also says, oh, damn, this is a great one. And I'm going to jump off this one for the recommendation. Red Rock West. Nick Cage in his 90s straight to VHS days means this was watched so many times. Red Rock West is such a ripper in that neo-noir Western sense. It's kind of a hybrid between those two things. I'm actually going to go back and just give you straight up one of the best original noir films from 1947, Out of the Past, starring Robert Mitchum, Kirk Douglas. I don't want to tell you much about this one, but this is a great film, and I think that once you see it, you go, wow, what a great entry point Red Rock West was to Out of the Past. So let's get into our own past right now. Talk about some of the favorite films that mean the most to Nick Mason and James Clement, Mr. Sunday Movies from the Weekly Planet. Let's do it, babies. All right, gang. Well, thank you for jumping into the Last Video Store, Mr. Sunday Movies, James Clement and Nick Mason.
That's great to be here.
Weekly Planet boys. Now we're spending a lot of time together at the moment.
I like this.
Yeah.
'Cause obviously you being in Sydney and us being where we live. Let's not get too specific, Mason. Yeah, it's just great to hang out.
Yeah, it's great to hang out.
Yeah.
Talking about movies, our shared passion and area of interest.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
We can all agree to it. We know that we love movies.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about this show is that we get to relive our past.
Hell yeah.
And that's the cool thing about it.
That's right.
Reliving our past. And I know you guys grew up together. Did you guys used to visit the same video store? Would you go in together?
Oh, yeah. We used to frequent the same video stores.
Wow, frequent.
And we'll say it.
Yeah.
It was the Eltham Video Shop.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
an independent video store. It was right next to the charcoal chicken.
That's right.
You better believe it.
So you're going in, you're ordering your charcoal chicken, you're waiting for that rotisserie to make the full 360 cycle. You're
Yeah,
choosing
that's
your
right.
films.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Talk me through this store, because independent video stores are things that excite me most in everything.
Absolutely.
I would say inclusive of thrills of the Olympic Games. I'm more excited about hearing about the old school video stores.
I mean, it had the standard selection. It would have had all your mainstream action movies, your rom-coms. I remember being very excited when the very small selection of anime VHSs sort of started to pop up. And of course there was the section of sort of pseudo video nasties that I was always too afraid to rent, because it wasn't
Pumpkinhead 2 to 4. Yeah.
Maniac Cop, Eliminators, Rotor, these kind of
wow.
they were sort of pseudo, they had they were sort of like Terminator, but they didn't have the the seal of approval of that kind of thing of
grubbiness about
they had the
them.
grubbiness, and I'm like, do I dare rent something like this.
Did you ever get a pumpkin head out?
I never got a pumpkin head out.
I've-
But luckily now it's all on Tubi.
It's
so-
all on Tubi. Tubi is like the video store of the modern age. Like,
It
it's
really
there.
is, yeah.
All the grub shit is there. You
Yeah.
can find... I'll be honest, I get emotional thinking about Tubi. There'll be years where movies are impossible to find. You look it up and you go, wow, they've just got all of this stuff on Tubi now.
Yeah.
And they do it for free.
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's good that somebody's like, these need to go somewhere. Somebody needs to see this.
Yeah, the internet needs a bargain bin as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
there needs the dregs need to go somewhere.
There needs to be a streaming service that recognizes there are movies that were made before the year 2005. Like most streaming services are like, the only movie that came out pre-2005 was The Matrix. That's it. And
Yeah.
then there's
and that
nothing
was
else.
just barely before.
Yeah.
Just barely before. The times changed.
That was probably the year we met, actually. The year The Matrix came out.
1999.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Wow, that's the year you came online. You came out of those
Pretty
pods.
much.
You're
That's
like,
exactly
"Oh,
right.
we're out here we're here meeting on the Nebuchadnezzar.
That's it. I mean, because there was similarly, there was a store closer to where I lived. We did live in a similar area. Is this interesting? Look, that's not
I think
important.
it's fascinating.
Okay,
Let's
cool.
go deep into it. What streets? What were the streets like? Was there gum on the sides of those streets?
There was, again, like this local video place, you know, that it was unbranded.
Yeah.
And then my little brother racked up a bunch of fines, so I couldn't go back. And then I heard they closed down and they reopened as a Video Easy, and I'm like, all right, here we go.
We're
I'm
starting
back.
fresh.
Clean slate, fake ID, new video card. Here we
With
go.
these ones that are not like the chains,
Mm.
did you ever notice like the specific tastes of the proprietors coming through there? Did that kind of inform your
I mean,
taste
they'd
in
have
any way?
an odd thing on the screen. You know, if you'd go into a blockbuster,
Mm-hmm.
it's just whatever Fantastic Four movie was out.
Yeah.
You know, but
Presumably either Fantastic Four or Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Sure, yeah.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, so it was normally something that I'd never seen or something I shouldn't be seeing, you know, up on the wall.
What were those little grubs that were always living in the toilet? What were those guys?
Oh, the Ghoulies?
The Ghoulies.
the
I,
gremlin
Oh my
I remember
gosh.
distinctly a Ghoulies
Yeah.
was on the TV
Distinctly
one time, and I'm like,
stinky. Yeah, Ghoulies is whack. Have you ever seen
I've
Ghoulies?
never seen Ghoulies, no.
I saw it at a sleepover. It's I have no memory of it actually. I still, even though I know I've seen the movie and I was disturbed as a child, I still can only remember that little green bald fella popping out of the loo.
Yeah.
His lovely little stripy top ensemble.
I remember one year, at like a primary school sleepover, we all went to the video store to get something, and we all wanted to watch Falling Down. The Michael Douglas man at the
Wow.
end of his rope.
Young
kind
man.
No,
of,
he's a hero, and he's telling it how it is.
Young men looking to get radicalized.
You
Yeah.
misread that.
and the guy and this is this video story is like, I don't think that's appropriate for your current age. It's a
Really?
little,
He said that?
But instead he recommended Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 3.
Oh,
so,
that's
Wow.
right.
I don't know
that's-
what you little
good,
freaks are gonna
yeah,
like.
yeah, pretty good call, but
Yeah, well, with the beautiful memories shared today, I'm feeling passionate. I'm feeling empathized to your experiences now. I'm taking on not just my own video store knowledge, but those of the nameless stores that turned into Video Easies at a certain point. And they're all possessing me right now because we're going to go through your rental combo. We're going to talk about your new release film, then 2 individual favorites of yours each.
Absolutely.
And then I have an even harder thing of not just empathizing with one person, but empathizing with both of you to find you the perfect bespoke, customized recommendation based on both of your tastes, your experiences, your lives, and in fact, even your aesthetic qualities.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I don't know if it'll come into play, but I'm trying to think about it.
I wrote a T-shirt that reflects my choice. It's an old T-shirt. I shouldn't have worn it, but
Wow.
Yeah.
The older the better, I say. And you can use that in any context you want. All right, we're going to get into your new release film.
New release.
And I would say, agree with you, this is one of my favorite movies in the last few years. A film that knocked my dick into the dirt.
Wow.
We're talking about John Wick, Chapter 4.
Action.
yeah.
Right. I'm sort of surprised this hasn't come up before.
Me
and then
too.
I'm like, is this too mainstream of a choice? Is it? But it's
Is it?
No. I don't think it's too mainstream of a choice.
because we do not have a backup.
People have said June 2 twice.
All right. Okay. Great.
Not
Yeah.
even Dune 1 once?
Not June 1 has never come up.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Because June 2's out. It's
Yeah.
been replaced.
Yeah.
Usually I say older the better. I'm going to change my context. You was cool.
I mean, we're not talking about John Wick or John Wick Chapter 2 or John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, the only one with the subtitle.
Yeah.
We're going straight to 4.
I think it's the best one.
I think it's the best one
I
also.
was kind of over John Wick at the end of 3. I'm like, I get it. I
Yes.
get it. I've seen everything that I could see out of this movie. And it's also, and seeing the runtime before I saw it, I'm like 2 hours and 30 minutes or whatever it was. I'm like, this could not possibly sustain itself for this length. But boy, does it. And then some.
I agree with you. I think it is the thing that really excites me out of the John Wick films. I think they get exponentially better. I think each one grows, and you're seeing Craig Stahelski's prowess and technical filmmaking and storytelling abilities grow unfathomably each time. And I think with John Wick Chapter 4, he delivers what I think is truly one of the greatest action films in the Western canon.
Yep.
Like,
Agreed.
I think is exceptional. Even just the fucking lighting of this movie is fascinating and beautiful.
I at the time when I came out of that movie at the cinema for the first time, the first word that I thought of was sumptuous. It's a sumptuous movie. The lighting, like it's neon soaked, and it's just all the sets are incredible, and all the costumes are incredible, and everybody's got an incredible look to them, and just it's interesting because when this franchise shifted from the kind of fairly grounded John Wick 1 to the kind of
You're talking about like the expansion of the world and the coins.
The
and
coins and the
coins.
nonsense. The coins and what the coins represent.
Is what I love.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
nonsense. We're going, we're going to have an insane amount of exposition to bring you into a world that is just Coco Kanunu bananas.
When it sort of tipped over into that, I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. And I enjoyed 2, and then I think 3 sort of ends in the same place it starts, so it's not really...
He's on the run.
He's on the run, and he's wounded.
He's fallen off a roof.
And then he falls off the roof again. And then, and again, at the end of 3, I'm like, I don't know if we
classic
can-
action triple falling off a roof.
That's right. Falling down, as it were.
Oh, of course,
you know.
falling down from the roof.
From the roof.
That's the full title.
That's right.
As used in overseas markets.
Yeah, that's right.
The book it was based on, after all.
Greeks falling down off the roof. Now,
a very niche reference.
Very.
Very niche, but I'm delighted
Very.
by it.
But and so when going into 4, I had that realization of like I think it is the there's a few things that have sustained this franchise, and one is the insane mythos. I think if it was just a guy getting revenge and then finding an excuse to get revenge 3 more times in a kind of this mundane world of like warehouses and vans and
You're talking about like the Taken franchise, basically.
exactly. I'm talking about the Taken franchise and every other kind of
Every other old man action movie of that beautiful genre.
The geezer teasers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the things that have sort of let this franchise sort of expand to the way it is the law and the full. It's the commitment. It's the commitment to the law, and it's Keanu Reeves' absolute commitment to the role and to the physicality of the role.
Yeah.
He's absolutely sincere. He's not quipping.
The guy's never told a lie on screen.
Yeah.
You watch him and you go, this guy's being honest. You could put a polygraph, hook it up to the DVD player, and you go, we're reading this is true.
That's right.
Nothing is coming off wrong here.
Absolutely. And he's just he's come from he's had a long career in absolutely committing to the role, like from The Matrix, where he everybody involved spent 6+ months training to do that. And it was the same for these movies. It's just he's as I understand it in John Wick 4, by this point, he's not just sort of miming doing the action. He knows exactly what he's doing. Like there are moments in that movie where he goes to fire a gun and it jams, and he'll like change the magazine, or he'll sort of
just check it.
check he'll check the gate and kind of, and he's not. They haven't planned that. That's what happened. That's what happened on the screen, and they just had the confidence to let him go. No, I can fix this. This is
Yeah. He didn't go, ugh, somebody.
someone fix this.
Please, can I get a help here?
Yeah.
I wonder if, James, you're the same as me, whereas I think the thing that I love most about John Wick Chapter 4, even compared to the rest of them, is I think it's kind of the thing that we've been getting at is the first one is a simple story.
I mean, it was supposed to be like straight to streaming, wasn't it?
Yeah,
as well?
straight to streaming.
Scorn, am I correct in
Oh,
saying?
yeah,
Might have
it
been
was
called
Scorn.
Scorn.
Oh, okay, right.
Where they
yeah.
go, who knows what Scorn is?
John
Yeah.
Scorn.
We got to go
Who is
call
that
it.
even?
We got to call it John Wick.
Yeah.
After all, John Carter did so well. We got to get the John franchise
And the
out
Spiderwick Chronicles went really well, I think, so we combined
there. We
them.
could combine these things together to make one behemoth of a franchise. But I think the thing that evolves really nicely is like the simple story then becomes more complicated in the way it's told.
Yeah.
But then in John Wick Chapter 4, you kind of see these influences, these really disparate influences come together in a really cohesive way, where you've got the kind of physical action, not even comedy, but the physical action of silent cinema with like Buster Keaton and stuff going in there, like the stunt actions of that. But then being infused with like, I guess for me, one of my very, very favorite films is like The Warriors. And I always with John Wick Chapter 3 was more like The Warriors. Like it feels like it's just like this one streamlined, one crazy night journey through New York City. But then you have this thing that I also think is excellent, but it ruins the momentum of it, where he goes, well, let's go to Morocco and hang out with Halle Berry with some dogs that eat dicks.
Absolutely,
And
yes.
you're like, let's go there. But I think this one captures the insane vibe in a hugely encompassing way, but it does feel like one crazy night.
Yeah, it really does. And I think also there's not a lot of movies where I can go like, oh, I can name 4 action sequences or set pieces from it, where you can with John Wick. You know, there's the the blind guy at in the club. That's one, isn't it?
That
God,
sure is.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's in a kitchen. He's all over the place, that guy.
The Arc de Triomphe, the stair fight, obviously, the showdown at the end. The top-down one where he's
Oh
got
my
the
God.
Dragonfire gun, whatever it's called. Like,
Yes.
there's 5. I named 5. So, you
Oh
know.
my gosh.
Yeah.
And that's not even to name the duel that completes the film.
Well, that's it, exactly. Yeah, and just a great twist on that as well. Just him killing his way up the ranks until he's at the top, which I don't think he is. I think there's still more people to kill.
Thank goodness. They got John Wick Chapter 5, and I pray they bring a second subtitle back into those.
Oh,
Right?
please! It is confirmed, isn't it?
I think so. I
Yeah,
think it's
I think
just
they locked it
recently they've
in.
been confirming it.
Are you sold on any of the expanded universe stuff? Because I know there's a show set in the 70s, which
I've been
I didn't
hearing
check
it's
out.
worth seeing with Mr. Melanie Gibson in it. I've not had the chance to watch it. And by saying I've not had the chance, I've elected not to watch
Yeah,
it just
I
yet.
understand, yeah.
Have you gone in on it?
You
I've
watched
seen it,
didn't you? Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you need is
Yeah.
okay.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay is a green light these
That's
days.
right. Exactly
And the
right.
ballerina is coming out at some point.
Oh,
I
yeah, with
assume.
Anna de Armas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
set between 3 and 4 or something.
But
It doesn't matter. Can
yeah.
you set any time?
But it's interesting you mentioned the
fine.
Buster Keaton element, and
Yeah.
and the stair fight. But
The stair fight
again,
feels so Buster Keaton
so Buster,
infused.
again, he's selling it with such sincerity, and you believe in him and you feel for him, and then of course there's a moment, spoiler alert, where he gets to the top of the 1,000 steps. And then he just gets 300 front kicked
Yeah.
all the way back down.
And
he
Incredible.
falls
It's
for so long.
He falls for so long.
And it's been so good at building the momentum of
Yeah.
time and
Yeah.
you understanding the real time that's eclipsing at this point. It gets it just right, and you feel it, and you feel that exasperation when he's like has to do it all over again.
Yeah.
I think that this is one of the true great masterpieces of action cinema.
Completely agree.
The only other thing I'm going to add on to this is a thing that I really love the John Wick franchise does is that it kind of understands, I guess, the building blocks that it comes from. I got emotional seeing fucking the greatest direct-to-video action movie stars get the call-ups to the big franchise. It's Mark Dacascos
Yes.
in John Wick 3 Parabellum, and then Chapter 4 we've got Scott Adkins.
Yeah.
And there's something about that, like
There's that
seeing guys-
sequence as well. Yeah, with the big guy. Yeah,
where he's
you're
the
right.
big guy fighting in the
Yeah.
club. Scott
Yeah.
Adkins fighting the fat suit, doing like, I think a Russian, German, French accent.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
thank you.
Got the big teeth and
The
Big
Baba
teeth,
Yogi
the big
guy.
heads, and he's moving kind of like, it is kind of like Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder.
It
you know?
is, yeah.
It's the same thing,
Yeah.
but not dancing. He's fighting.
Yeah.
And I think
true.
there's something about that I actually feel, the same way I feel about Tubi. I get verklempt, I get emotional. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And to bring in Donnie Yen as well, that's
Absolutely.
Of course,
yeah,
Donnie
terrific.
Yen and doing his signature thing of being blind. Being blind in a
That's true.
Western-made film.
He
Yeah,
loves being blind,
that's
doesn't he? Yeah.
He loves it, and he's believable. Where do you think John Wick Chapter 5 is going? Because we're thinking about it's from what we understand, it's been announced.
I mean, some have said he battles his way out of hell.
You're taking the supernatural.
I'm not against it because it feels right in terms of he is he started out in a very grounded world, a sort of grey and and
Yeah.
and it was it a real world probably,
Oh
but then
my
it's sort
God.
of gone its way. It's become this huge Technicolor, amazing. It is it's a fantasy world. It's everybody's
Yeah.
trading gold coins for nights at the inn and all this sort of stuff, and it's like, well, why not?
And you could make it like he's in a coma and he imagined it. You
Sure,
could leave it
yeah.
ambiguous.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true.
I think that's beautiful. I'm picturing something really incredible in my mind right now. I think that the hotel, what's the hotel place called? Is it just called the hotel?
The
They exploded
Continental.
it.
The
Yeah, the
Continentals. I think the Continentals should have branch in hell as well.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
And he can leave messages to go to the other ones back in the real world.
Yes.
And they can
He's-
bring back Lance Reddick as a CGI monstrosity.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. That's what we need.
They planned to kill him in that franchise, right? Before
They
he
did,
died.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope.
Like,
I hope
yeah.
so. I hope they don't bring it back.
I
Yeah.
really
But
hope not.
do you know who I'd love them to bring back?
Yeah.
If he's in some kind of purgatorial afterlife, fighting his way back to Earth, I don't think he should come back alone. I think he brings back his lost wife and the dogs from the first
Yes.
movie.
Yeah,
I think they all coming back, and then that's the end of the movie. They live happily on Earth, or they go from hell to heaven.
Yeah.
Like we're talking.
Yeah.
What's the Robin Williams movie?
The one
Robin
where
Williams
everything's
kills
paint-
God.
The one where everything's not
Painted.
What's
something.
what not what
What
lies
dreams
beneath?
may come.
What
or
dreams
something
may
like
come.
that.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, now that's it is John Wick Chapter 5, What Dreams May Come. that's what I want. Everything's
Yeah.
surrealist and painted.
Killing his way into heaven.
Well, that is John Wick Chapter 4. Anything else that you'd like to add, my gentlemans?
The guns aren't real.
Oh
we know
yeah,
that?
from like a safety aspect.
Yeah,
it's really interesting.
I did-
yeah.
And again, so for people who don't know, Chad Stahelski was Brandon Lee's stunt double on The Crow.
On The Crow.
So he's sort of spent his career sort of working to a point where there aren't any guns on set
Yep.
because it's even a gun that fires blanks. And so yeah, all the guns in John Wick 4, there's a lot of airsoft guns, but there's also a lot of guns that they're called plugged guns.
Yeah.
And they like you can imagine, there's no hole in the barrel, but you just pull the trigger and like the action works and the casing comes
casing
out.
flies out.
And the rest of it is visual effects and again people selling it.
Yep.
And that's not like visual effect muzzle flash is not uncommon in movies now, but the difference is in John Wick you can't tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they've really they've made it the best that they can possibly do it. There's so many of those directed, streaming or whatever movies where you're like, oh, that's clearly
Yeah,
fake.
someone's copied and pasted a little flame.
Yeah.
at the end of the gun.
Exactly.
But I
Someone's
think if
doing that.
I didn't know that going into it ahead of time, I would never have figured that out.
No.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just
Also, like, even if you could tell, why not? Because then
Yeah.
everybody's just that little bit safer. You know?
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
I think that's
Yeah.
it. I actually think they should have all guns cap guns. And with
Sure,
the little
yeah.
orange clip on the end, just so you all know everything's all safe.
one of those guns you stick into a potato. And you pull out a little bit of potato, and then you
Little
shoot a little bit
potato
of potato.
shooters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Spud
I think
gun,
that.
Spud gun. Yeah.
Or big, beautiful Nerf guns.
Oh my God.
Or in my dream world, they're all needless from the Halo universe.
Hello.
Yeah, even more dangerous, actually. All right, we're going to go into your weekly choices
Yes.
right now.
Weekly.
Now, this is a beautiful stack of films you've got here, my friends. Beautiful stack of films. I think, James, we're going to kick things off with not just the film that wow, there's a bag being lifted open.
No, this is from your video store. I
Yes,
just took
of
it off
course.
the shelf. Yeah.
Wow, it's from, wow.
That's right.
Wow.
It's True
The
Lies on
V-
VHS.
the
You can hold that,
VHS
Mason,
copy
if you
of
want.
True
Have a
Lies.
look.
Wow.
It's real.
Action.
It's real
That's-
and
it's
it's
very
chipped.
real.
It's chipped.
God, the
it's
resolution
greasy.
is so good on this.
Oh
And
my
the tape
goodness.
is real. You don't even have to look inside.
Open the tape and let's unravel it.
I hope this is cash.
I think that this is one of the defining
All right.
films for people like
A crook porno, it just says here. A very crook. Yeah.
a video naughty. Not
It's
just
not a
nasty.
crook photo. Just to clarify.
Wow.
Yeah.
True Lies. Thick thighs. I like it.
That's right.
This is like such a defining like film for people like around our
Yeah.
age group of just like exploring a little bit further of just like not just franchise action cinema, but I think getting like for me it felt like one of the first adult
Oh, 'cause of
naughty
the scene, right?
because
Yeah.
of the scene, and it played
Yeah.
on TV a heck of a lot. And
Well,
let's just
yeah.
say the door locked into my bedroom a heck of a lot watching it on my
did.
tiny little TV.
What I find fascinating about it now, like going back, it's really the end of an era for Arnold.
Yeah.
Because it's probably... No, it's not probably. It is where he peaked.
Yeah.
Like, not financially, but it's like the last collaboration that he had with James Cameron. I know he like produced on Terminator, but you know, he was at the peak of his power. Like, James Cameron also had all the lessons that he'd learned, he'd brought forward into this kind of screwball action comedy. Like, half of the movie is following his wife around because he thinks she's having an affair.
Yeah.
Like, that's the front half of the movie.
And it's got a little bit of that Hitchcockian, like, mistaken identity in there. The funness of that buddy cop comedy or buddy comedy, I should say.
Yeah.
With, like, the Tom Arnold of it all.
Exactly. James Cameron knows exactly how to... Well, not like Tom Arnold, obviously, because it's the best thing he's been in. But Arnold as well. He's always known exactly how to use him.
The double Arnolds.
The double Arnolds.
That's it. This is a kind of movie that makes you go, hey, Arnold.
It is like that, isn't it? Yeah.
I learned this week. This is a remake. I didn't know that.
Of a French movie?
film called La Totale. And I guess the reason that one hasn't, jumped to worldwide success is because they didn't realize what James Cameron did, which is it's way funnier to have like a guy who's meant to be an undercover operative, but it's the biggest man you've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
They made the fatal mistake of not casting Tom Arnold in their movie.
Yeah,
exactly
you're not
right.
wrong. I just love that like there's inclusions that Charlton Heston is in this.
Yeah.
And like he's got an eye patch and an attitude, and like, oh, this guy's been killing people for like 60 years, and now he's like he's a
And now he's in this movie.
Now
Charlton Heston is in this movie.
But I think you're right. It's like the pure understanding of like, it is one of the last times where Arnie feels like a true collaborator with someone and someone kind of carving the material and matching it to him perfectly.
Even like understanding his humor and delivery, it's like a perfect action movie. And again, like John Wick 4, you can name all the action sequences and they're all incredible. Horse chase. Bathroom fight. They did it first before Tom Cruise. The bridge thing, where the bridge is sometimes a miniature bridge.
Bill Paxton punched in head in car.
Exactly,
in dream sequence for 3 seconds.
Oh, he's incredible. He's so good in this. Just so slimy and pathetic. And
everybody's great. As I understand it, the studio didn't want Tom Arnold because he'd recently been divorced from Roseanne, and they were like,
God.
"Well,
How
that's
can you
box office
recover?
poison because Roseanne is
she was the draw, right?
Yeah, she was America's sweetheart at the time, and still is, as far as I know. But
Well, America's Sweetheart, a country with a high corn syrup fructose problem. A little too sweet.
that's right. But he fought for him, and I think he's great. I think they're a great pairing. I'm sort of. It's a little bit disappointing that they've never worked together.
Well, they talked about doing a sequel, and it was kind of going to happen.
Truer, more lies.
Yeah, that's right. It was obviously he did Titanic after this, James Cameron, and then 9/11 happened, so that delayed it again because there's always a terrorist element to it. And then Arnold becomes governor, and then they pushed it out further, and James Cameron's doing Avatar. It's just not going to happen.
Tom Arnold is also probably not in the positions to be making these to the degree as possible.
But if you ask him in like an interview, he's like, "Yeah, we talk about it all the time." Like he would soar off his.
We got a Slack channel. We got a Slack. We talk about True Lies every day. I think the way around it is they keep on threatening to do triplets instead of twins.
Oh,
of course,
And they keep on going, let's get Eddie Murphy to be the triplet.
They do keep threatening. I like the way you frame that. Yeah.
They're threateting it. I can get Tom Arnold as a triplet.
Yeah, sure.
He goes, I'm actually more from the Danny DeVito end of the spectrum, I got a little bit more of that DNA in me, so that's who I am.
Yeah. There's also a TV show which I've never seen. From a few years back.
Are you serious?
It's American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's in it?
That's a great
Don't
question.
know. No one's ever watched it.
Yeah.
It's never been seen.
It's people
No.
I've seen.
It's actually
Yeah.
not lost
I wanna
media.
say
It's
it-
just unseen
Yeah,
media.
that's right. I want to say it's like it's up there with like the new MacGyver TV show, or how they did Lethal Weapon again. As a TV show.
That only exists because there was controversial news stories about cast members on the show.
Oh, that's
the only reason
right.
I
Yeah.
know
They
it.
fired the guy who Mel Gibson plays.
Yeah, for being more Mel than Mel.
Yeah.
I googled True Lies TV show and I got True Lies the movie. So even Google doesn't want to
Oh my
admit
gosh.
this show exists.
I think we've been incepted by a memory.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, why is it that True Lies was the film that you immediately were like, I got to grab this one off the shelves?
Well, first of all, we're looking at the first 2 Terminator movies. We have a series called Caravan of Garbage on YouTube.
check it out.
Check it out.
Who are you pointing at?
The
We're pointing
camera,
at
the
the
audience.
camera's in front of us.
And
He's pointing directly at an audience member.
That's right.
Forcing him to watch the Caravan of Garbage.
And just getting on that James Cameron kind of on that role, we also looked at Aliens as well, and we've looked at The Abyss before, and this is kind of the natural progression of that. And also, it's not something that James Cameron does do humor and action well, but he's never quite combined them like this. Is just a very compelling narrative, and it's just a very funny movie. And we haven't even talked about Jamie Lee Curtis, who's fucking incredible in this movie.
Incredible physical performance as well.
Funny, yeah.
I think he's really good at utilizing stars, understanding their star power, but then also understanding what is beyond their star power. Like, I think about her in this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis is really funny. She's also great at playing in peril and against peril. But then here he's able to kind of understand her in different ways. Like, how can we utilize her? When I think about, to me, the absolute pinnacle of that for James Cameron, Avatar 2, The Way of the Waters, where he goes, Sigourney Weaver,
Oh my God, yeah.
a woman, in my estimation, 78 years of age is my guess. Maybe I'm being too generous there, and I don't know which way
Because you do
I
like
mean
him older,
that.
don't you? Yeah.
Yes, of course. I say older's better almost every time, no matter the context. But let's get her to play a teenage supernatural being with paranormal abilities and connections to the lords and gods and everything, and to Mother Nature. And I'm watching it, I'm going, not only do I believe this performance, I think this is the best character I've ever seen in a fantasy science fiction film. I'm so moved by it. And he just goes, well, yeah, she's been a 14-year-old girl once in her life. She can do it again. And he somehow got it to work. I don't know how that is.
It sounds insane. It sounds like it. But you're right. You don't, when in that movie, which I quite like. I know people are kind of down on the Avatar movies. I particularly like the second one. But yeah, you don't, you stop thinking about it. You're like, yeah, this is a 14-year-old alien who can commune with the planet or whatever that movie is about.
Yeah, I think it almost comes back to the thing we kept on talking about John Wick 4, it's momentum. When you're building momentum, and he's a genius at building momentum, you're on the ride, you're in there with the characters, you're feeling the same things the characters are feeling. You buy the stuff that could be cliche because you go, I'm in the realm, I'm in the movie, and it just works. And I think True Lies is one of the great examples of that in his career.
Yep. A couple more things I just want to mention. Because it's of an era of filmmaking where there's certain things you can't hide, Arnold's stunt double is really obvious a lot of the time. It's just like a guy who's like in prosthetics or like a weird mask. And it's very obvious. And with like Terminator 2, there's a few moments where they go back and they fix that. And with this, they just
you
didn't.
see him on the motorbikes, the one I always think about.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just amazing. And also his line at the end where he shoots the terrorist through the building with the Harrier jump jet, which is also the same jet from Avengers 2012, that the Hulk and that they fly in front of it. But anyway, he says you're fired and shoots him, but like, it doesn't even make any sense.
Fired from what?
Exactly. You're not his boss. He doesn't work for big terrorism. Well, I guess he does work for big terrorism, but you're not the head of big terrorism. So it's just like, it doesn't even...
Maybe there was a subplot where the terrorist worked at Harry Tasker's fake computer company
Oh,
or something
okay.
like that.
Maybe
And
that's
then
what
he
it
could be
was,
like,
yeah.
well, you're fired,
Yeah.
you know.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a thing called citizen's arrest. I think there should be called citizen's firing.
That's
as well.
true,
You
yeah.
can just go in and fire someone if they really do deserve it.
Yeah.
They send someone in. Can I ask, is True Lies just before The Last Action Hero?
Last Action Hero was the year before. And that's
Years
another thing I
before.
think was really interesting. Actually, because I said, I want to watch The Last Action Hero. I messed it up. I meant to say this.
Yeah.
That's interesting because that's what this is trying to be. Like, it's more tongue-in-cheek because there's like cartoon characters and it's set in a fictional world and whatever. But it's supposed to highlight everything that Arnold is and kind of parody that and kind of flip it. But it doesn't work. It falls down in a lot of places and the action isn't great. But this is that just presented in a much better way.
They got James Cameron to do it.
They got
That's how
James
they
Cameron.
did it.
That's
Yeah.
a really good idea that they did that.
Yeah, the only guy more powerful than John McTiernan in that era. We got to go James Cameron.
I should check if that's actually true. The Last Action Hero came out before. I'm pretty confident.
I can
but
look
I
up
said
quickly.
that.
You
Yeah.
said it with confidence.
I did, yeah.
We can, I mean,
It did come out the year before. It did come out the year before. Let it be known, no one lied, no one gave misinformation. Everything was accurate right now.
And
That's
they both
right.
had terrible Super Nintendo adaptations. So that's
Oh
fine.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
that was the era.
That's the era. And that's what I truly believe. I still remember the cover for both of those, the Super
yeah.
Nintendos. And I remember them with perfect wear and tear on those. Lovely. Why would they put things in cardboard boxes that teenagers and little boys are going to handle? They're,
a great
they're
question.
always destroyed instantly.
Yeah, look, you photocopy the booklet, you put it in a plastic case, and you hand it over. You know,
Exactly.
that's the way to do it.
That's it. You got to get the freaking laminator out there, man. You got to get a
You gotta.
laminator out there for all that. Well, that is True Lies, one of the greats of Arnie's career. And let me say the spelling of True Lies is True Grenade Lies. You got to put the grenade emoji in there if you're writing it
That's
right
right.
now. All right, May. So you've got a film here. We're talking 1998. We're taking
1998,
a little sojourn 4 years into the future.
No Super Nintendo adaptation here, alas. But and I've got a physical copy as well. This is. No, James. He's done a gag.
No.
I brought the correct movie.
I also bought the correct
which
movie.
is the John Frankenheimer movie from 1998, Ronin.
I also
And
bought the
James
movie
brought
Ronin.
47.
No, it says Ronin.
Oh, you
Ronin
put
with
a
the blue
sticker
tape
over
on it.
Okay, that.
Thriller.
How awesome would it be if I go, damn, that was going to be my recommendation for you. I want to give you a freaking Keanu Reeves movie that's also called Ronin.
And it's real. The disc is really in here.
You're so full of lies. What's wrong
I've
with
never
you?
met a guy that's utilized having access to a home printer so perfectly before.
This is a real copy that I took the disc out of. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Wow.
From John Frankenheimer, one of the greats
That's exactly.
of, I guess, paranoid thrillers, action cinema.
Yeah.
And I think
car chases too. And car racing generally, yeah.
car racing, car chases generally. Is Ronin one that persists for you? Is this from your childhood that you bring into
Yes,
life?
this is I saw this in cinemas the year it came out. And this is
The
probably
agreement.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, go on.
It seems that you guys mean a lot to each other. I'm becoming a therapist
I
on
guess.
this side now.
I guess, but I mean, we've grown apart a little since he did that 47 Ronin bit to steal my thunder. That dog, and I reckon it's pretty much a yearly rewatch for me since it came out on home release. This is a real comfort film for me. There's a lot of people organising, doing the logistics of a heist in a warehouse.
Oh, yeah.
very just having a little drink in a Parisian pub.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just nice. But
People
boy, it's-
of France don't think it's nice. They're getting killed and run over and shot.
true, yeah.
It's quite the shame. It's
Yeah.
quite the shame. The people of Paris do need to survive, in my opinion.
I watched before coming to this. I watched Siskel and Ebert's review of this movie
wow.
from when it came out, and they both gave it a thumbs up. And they did point out that perhaps if this did occur in real life, hundreds would have been. It would have been on the news that hundreds were killed. You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
People who did not deserve it.
I did a similar thing where I reread Margaret and David's transcript of this, of the
yes.
review for this.
Nice.
David gives it 4 stars, Margaret gives it 3 stars.
Okay.
And I think the thing that I pick up most from this is they're both like attracted to the thriller aspects of the heist of it, the kind of Parisian aspect of it. But for David, who loved the early films of Frankenheimer, like The Manchurian Candidate, 7 Days in May, and my absolute favorite Frankenheimer film, which is Seconds, he feels like this is a return to form after many years out in like the journeyman
Yeah,
wilderness.
yeah. He had a sort of meteoric rise, and then it dipped for a few years, and then kind of
He peaks back up here,
Yeah.
and don't worry, mate, he falls back down.
Yeah, I was looking
right
afterwards.
afterwards.
You like reindeer games, yeah.
And then he
Oh,
died?
Yeah, very shortly after that.
Yeah, he does. Ronin kind of is right in between 2 insane movies, The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. He came in to fix that or finish.
He came
Is
in
that
to
right?
finish it, yes.
Yeah.
And he did fix it. You watch it and
Yeah.
go, wow, this is a movie that's really effective and cool and not weird and not horrifying and not wrong and not really desecrating any kind of things. One of the
Cool.
most upsetting things ever made. But he does The Island of Dr. Moreau, then he comes back and does reindeer games right after Ronin.
I don't remember much of Reindeer Games. Is it good?
In a word, fuck no, dude. No, it's a bizarre movie
Fucking
because
Ben Affleck, early 2000s.
Yeah,
This,
do
The Sum of
anything,
All
that guy.
Fears, Paycheck. What was
Yeah.
he doing?
it's
Getting a
so
paycheck.
and
That's
Xi
true.
Li. David, let's
Xi
speak
Li,
of
yeah.
Xi
Yeah.
Li.
Daredevil.
I think it's so interesting. It's like such a oddity that in between these two things, he's able to just recapture all his powers, all his magic to make
Yeah.
kind of the perfect late 90s heist film.
Not underrated when it came out, but it was underseen. I think it didn't do well at the box office. I wonder if I think some rewrites were happening. Immediately before filming and during filming and etc. And I think it's probably I think he was probably elevated by the cast. It's a great cast.
Yeah.
De Niro, of course.
Yeah. Natasha McElhone.
Yes.
Jean Reno.
All the greats. Sean Bean is kind of
Sean Bean.
He just comes and goes.
yeah.
God, that's a great character. I
Yeah.
thought he was going to pop up or betray or something.
Well,
but
so
it's
that's the
just-
thing. As I understand it, there was going to be an element to that, but then in rewrites that like there was at one point, his fate was going to be he was going to get captured by the IRA at the end,
okay,
and,
yep.
killed or what have you. But in this, they're just like, what if he just left and he was a loser, kind of thing. So it's a great cast. I think the script is really strong. You believe in the characters. David Mamet has a rewrite on this, but
Yeah.
he's not credited. He's credited to somebody else, Richard Weiss, I think.
Oh, wow.
Because he doesn't.
Dicky Weiss.
He has some.
Dangerous pair of words to put next to each other.
That's right. He doesn't take credit if he's not the main screenwriter or something.
Yeah.
Well, that was his rule at the time. I don't know, just great. And I think based on that great dialogue, I think there's some really quotable lines in it. There's a moment where Sean Bean's character asks De Niro if he's ever killed somebody, and he's like, "I hurt someone's feelings once." I thought that was, a lot of fun.
He's like that guy. Well, we went to high school together. Like that's a fun little moment.
Yeah.
Just lying his way, across France and killing. Yeah.
There's a lot of killing in it. I think that Jean Reno and Robert De Niro, that's the kind of thing that I always remember. I always felt like their chemistry together and their pairing, their partnership in it. I thought it's one of those surprises, like how great it works. And even when I think about it, I go, it shouldn't be that surprising because like they're two excellent actors, but they feel so different from each other as performers because they're both a bit subdued, but I always feel like Jean Reno is so good at playing into persona, whereas Robert De Niro is a bit of someone who shies away from having a kind of movie star persona. And except for Midnight Run and then everything he'd made after Meet the Parents. But this is just before that, a year. It's 1 year, I think, before Meet the Parents.
I think that's probably
interesting.
that's again. This is my favorite era of De Niro. People would say this is.
Have you seen the 70s? Did you know he made movies in the 70s?
This some people will say after at a certain point he stopped trying.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, but have these people
this
seen
didn't
War
interest
for
him,
Grandpa or whatever it's called?
That's exactly right.
God.
Yeah, and just really great action set pieces and great chases that are all being done for real. In some cases, with the actual actors in behind the wheel.
I always remember that sequence on the windy road where he shoots the rocket launcher at the car and it flips. And it's like, it's not, now it would be a nothing moment because there'd be 40 cars flipping.
Yeah.
But you just, the grind and you even see like when they do the Paris Underground and they go, and you see like cars flip and then like turn in and they'll just like go around them just at like the last second. It reminded me of the first Mission Impossible, like that paranoia, the look of it. And also like an early... whoever directed The Firstborn, I can never remember because it's not
Doug Liman
Doug
directed
Liman.
The Firstborn.
It reminds me of that Firstborn movie.
Yeah,
as well.
like one of the reasons I chose this is because it's not as like when you think of John Wick 4 or True Lies, there's a certain like caricature to them.
Yes.
Like they're sort of heightened and they're in their own sort of. It's a sort of a fantasy world, and this is sort of it's more grounded. It's more mundane, but it's not unspectacular.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
He's very good at finding that grounding. Island of the Moreau aside.
Yes.
He's very good at doing that. Like when I think about Seconds and The Manchurian Candidate, they're both like these kind of paranoid thrillers that have something a little bit more heightened outside of the world. Like the idea of these indoctrinations in Manchurian Candidate and then this more overtly science fiction idea in Seconds. And I think that he's very good at finding the cinematic language to communicate those in a way that can be subdued. And this was one of the films I was toying with as a recommendation for you guys.
Okay.
But I'm just going to say it out loud now, and I'm just going to throw it away, and it's a recommendation, but not the official
This
recommendation.
is a free one. This is a free
This
one.
is a freebie for you guys in case I fuck up the big one. He made a film in 1964 called The Train. Have you either of you seen The Train?
I haven't seen
I
The
did
Train.
see this when I was going through his filmography, but I had no idea.
War.
The Train is quite excellent, and the best way to describe it is it's Die Hard before Die Hard. But it's set in World War II with Nazis and with like art heisty type stuff
Okay.
right there as
So
well.
Die Hard's like this in a building.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, right?
We're talking about we're no longer vertical, we're going horizontal with Train.
Oh my God.
It's very much that with Burt Lancaster in that role, but God, I should have just given you this as a recommendation. Oh well,
incredible.
the pressure's back on me.
It really
again.
is. Yeah, I don't know
it's
how you're gonna
kind of
top that.
perfect. Yeah, well, I'm gonna try and top it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't mind if I fall short.
I don't know if you mentioned it. You might have mentioned
Mm-hmm.
in passing. Did you like because he directed French Connection too,
Too, he
right?
did,
Yeah.
Is that?
is that him or was that?
I think it was.
No,
him,
it is
wasn't
him,
it?
yeah.
I
Is
always
that-
think if
Is
it's-
that anything? Because I read some reviews and people are like, it's good, but it's not like
It's
know.
it's
because
I
Gene
don't-
Hackman's returns and
I've seen
Yeah.
it a few times, and like I love French Connection. Obviously, I'm a film nerd, so I love the French Connection. French Connection 2 is kind of like it's a bit of a bummer, but it's interesting to see what they can, how they're beginning to conceptualize what sequels are, because there are sequels before that. Like there's lots of films from like the 30s and 40s that have sequels, but they're a little bit more rehashing or something like
Yeah.
that. I think in the 70s when they're like the American New Wave, when they're trying to figure out sequels again, there's something quite interesting about that. So I think there's value to watching it. But the only thing I remember about it is they forced Gene Hackman to do heroin in like one of the first scenes. And like then they also force him to, like they kidnap him, force him to do heroin. And then the actual torture is they force him to, what is it called when you like when you have the heroin and you're trying to get it out of your system and you're going crazy from it?
Go cold turkey.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That's
Not
right.
cold turkey, but there's like the term as well where he's unfortunately it's never going to come to me. It will never
They
come
say
to
it
me.
in Trainspotting, probably.
They say in Trainspotting, yeah, where they're like, he's got the thing. And I actually would like if 365 people can message me the words that we can't think of. If no one, and I don't want it to be a post. I want it to be individual messages to all of our inboxes.
I want to say the bends, but it's not the bends.
It's not the bends.
Yeah.
It's not the bends.
It's the bends for heroin.
It's not the yips.
It's and I'm trying to think, is it relapsing? But it's not relapsing, but it's like in the area of that.
And even if you get it now, it's too late because people have already messaged
They've already
you.
messaged us.
So-
They've already messaged us. Another great Frankenheimer is Black Sunday, which is kind of a terrorist attack at the Super Bowl. Yeah, and that's quite good. That's
year is
quite
that?
good. Robert Shaw and Bruce Dern.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, 1977.
77, okay.
Yeah, really fun movie. Really fun movie. We could have just done the whole Frankenheimer
Absolutely.
suite.
Yeah. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I should have said True Lies.
Oh my lord.
Staff pick.
Okay, I'm going to go into my brain again right now. I've already gone through my heart. Those were the heart picks. Now I'm going well brain and heady picks.
He's in his mind palace, or his
wow.
mind video shop.
I'm in my mind. Well, technically, we're all in the mind video shop
That's
right
so
now.
true.
It's
And
true.
Even the dear listener. I'm trying to go what in the mix of films. Where do we want to? What flavor of these three films would you like to be the most prominent in your recommendation?
I like the idea of Ronin. Like, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah,
Something a
revisiting
little-
that, I was like,
yeah.
God, this is good.
Okay.
Revisiting, I might not have ever seen it. I can't remember, but I'd seen enough of it to be like, ooh,
We're
I've seen
going
some of this.
We're going to go to Ronin. We're going to 1973 with this film. This is another film that kind of takes a little bit of the mold of a heist film, and it communicates through a heist film. Has the feeling of that, but instead of it being a heist, it is assassinations. And it's a film from 1973 called The Hit.
Crime.
Exclamation point by Sidney J. Furie, who's another like Frankenheimer, a great journeyman of cinema. He's made films in almost every type of genre. I'm going to give you a little bit of a synopsis. A federal agent whose daughter dies of a heroin overdose is determined to destroy the drug ring that supplied her. He recruits various people whose lives have been torn apart by the drug trade and trains them. Then they all leave for France to track down and destroy the ring. And let me tell you who that person is that is recruiting these people. The assassin that wants to kill the drug ring. It is Billy D. Williams.
Oh my God.
Damn.
Yeah.
Pre-Empire Strikes Back, Billy D. Williams.
Pre-Empire Strikes Back, Billy D. Williams. And I think
William
maybe he's-
December Williams, full name. Full name.
That's one of the
Don't
great-
message me, that's true.
And then it's not just him there. He's joined by like kind of an interesting eclectic mix. A lot of character actors, different groups. Two of the people that are with him are an older couple that were espionage spies earlier in their life, but their son was someone who also came to be a heroin addiction.
So he's just kind of not stuck with, but these are the people who have the drive.
People that have the drive
Yeah.
and because it's a rogue mission. This
Yeah.
is like a rogue nation that they're going after
Damn,
right
they're
now.
doing a Rogue Nation,
They're
Mason.
doing a rogue nation. They've
Just
actually
checking all the boxes.
they've taken Ghost Protocol on this.
Oh,
They've
no.
elected to go for Ghost Protocol. So it's this old couple, and I think that's the thing that really excites me. There's this really unassuming, short, old couple. They're like little pudgy. They've seen their like their best days, and the way that they utilize them to enact these assassinations, it's so thrilling and so exciting. I don't want to give anything away because it's the most unique thing in this film. The other unique thing, one of the other people he recruits is played by Richard Pryor, who plays an ex-Navy SEAL who joins them. But it's also Richard Pryor doing this kind of hat on, hat off persona thing is a way I put it when comedic actors kind of go, he can speak as Richard Pryor, basically doing bits and being funny, but it's never stops being a real life person. And he's still doing, it would be the same way that Richard Pryor communicates
Pre
with
See No
people.
Evil, hear no evil, whatever that. Yeah.
Pre that,
Pre
like
Superman 3.
It's very early in his career, and
interesting.
I think that this is like quite a beautiful film. It meanders a little bit for its runtime, but there's like real power here, and that premise gives you like a great emotional buy-in. So it has this feeling of heist films. The way that it executes at the end, it almost feels like the kind of mass sequence, the baptismal fire in The Godfather. Like it's kind of intercut with each other as they all build to each other. It's this great clandestine operation. It's these effective assassination. There's pain and beauty in all of them coming together and how they're kind of laid out on the table. It grounds all their skills, removing kind of any surprise or doubt. And that's in particular with the older couple, like the way that you kind of believe their skills. It's quite a marvelous trick. But the best thing about this film, and it's going a bit back to the Ronin, it's going back to that Parisian, this kind of French landscape that they're in, the French cityscapes. I really zoned in during this gang's like last individual quiet night before they enact this plan. These quiet moments in Marseille. It's one night before the job. The old married couple are in bed together, just enjoying each other's company, holding each other. And then there's this moment that got me where one of the gang members is just out on the streets on himself, having a lonely moment where he's just eating a sandwich at the counter of a French deli. And it's one of the greatest moments of cuisine on screen I've ever witnessed. And by that point, it's when I go, I'm straight up in love with this movie.
All right.
Yeah.
And there's great balances of humor in there as well, not unlike True Lies, but also quite unlike True
It
Lies.
sounds a little bit unlike True. I love the idea, like the way you describe that group. I love a movie or just a character who they're not the right person for the job, but it's fallen to them. So it's just like, well, I'm just doing this. I'm the person. You know, ideally this would be someone else, but it's me.
They're not here,
you know?
yeah.
It falls onto them. I think it's really, really that. I didn't even think about it before, but Richard Pryor and Tom Arnold is a bit of the same DNA of using a comedic actor.
Same parents,
that
yeah.
can play to the same pairing. Now that if only we could get them together. If only we could get them together. But there's something in that just like it speaks to, in a weird way, with like these heist films, like even Ocean's 11, like getting like comedic actors. It grounds them by going like, yeah, there's funny people. There's a whole group of people together. One of them should be funny.
People are funny.
Yeah. And I guess that's a David Mamet on Ronin. He gives a few funny lines.
That's right.
Well, dudes, thank you so much for joining me in the last video store, picking up a beautiful selection of movies. Your new release of John Wick, Chapter 4. We got True Lies in there. We got Ronin. And we're hitting it up with Hit! Exclamation point. When you Google it, you got to put the exclamation point.
Now, let me
What
ask you
is
this.
it on?
Yeah, where the
Where
heck
the-
are we
where we gonna
where the
find
heck are we
that?
going to get this,
Well, it's
Alexi?
available on VHS. It's available on Blu-ray in the Sidney J.
Okay.
Fury box set released by Imprint, which I own, and I will lend you that copy from our shelves. But also,
right.
this is an accessible film. You can rent it on Google Play.
Yes.
You can rent it on Apple TV.
Ooh.
You can rent it on YouTube. And dare I say, you can also come and borrow it from the Last Video Store.
It's got everything.
It's
Last
got
video
every
store, yeah.
single option out there. But I would say this, like, it's a meanderer. It's a
Yep.
meandering
okay.
film.
I like a
Great.
meandera.
Put it on a Sunday afternoon
Yep.
and you will be swept out into Marseille.
I wonder if there's maybe like a new audience for meandering movies, like because now everybody's on their phones.
Everyone's on
and
their
so
phones,
forth.
Mason.
Perhaps that people would appreciate going back into an era where movies kind of meandered for a little bit.
I think that's good. Yeah, I think it's a good film to have your phone in your hand for a little bit.
Great,
If you want to do that, yeah.
great. I
look at,
I can't put it down. So
I was going to say Oppenheimer, but that kind of moves at a clip for the first hour. But then there's a bunch of meandering in that. The Dune movies, which I know you've talked about.
Of course, we've
You
talked
know?
about them a
space
hell of a
meandering,
lot.
spice meandering.
Spice and space meandering.
Yeah. There's that
Yeah.
scene in Rebel Moon 2 where they all sit around and go, oh, yeah, I know my story. That's
And let me tell you my story. Yeah. I can't wait to watch the Rebel Moon. I've slowly been convinced I have to watch every
extended.
version. I've never seen any of Rebel
Who's
Moon.
convincing you of this?
Oh, the world at large.
Yeah,
the
they'll do that.
world at large is
Yeah,
convincing me
yeah.
about it. Yeah, but that's it, guys. Thank you for joining me. Of course, you've got the Weekly Planet podcast on the Great Podcast. I was just on to talk about Alien Romulus.
That's
That
right.
was so
Thanks
fun.
for
Yeah.
being there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an absolute blast having you on.
yeah, and actually, we're probably getting blasted. People going, this is not the best movie ever. Unfortunately, that's why we rated it.
As of so far, the comments have been very positive. People specifically
Wow.
to you are like, this guy, he's got it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
right.
I'm getting praise, but I'm also saying you guys are wrong about the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, no, we
yeah.
definitely get that.
Yeah. We weren't the guys who should have been doing this podcast. We were just there. You
Yep,
know what I mean?
that's right.
It's
Yeah.
like one of those heroes you like
Yeah.
so much.
That's exactly
You know?
right. Yeah.
You know,
And of course, Caravan of Garbage on YouTube.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with these. I've been enjoying you guys going through the Alien franchise, especially talking about Jean-Pierre Genie's Alien Resurrection. That's so fun.
And
Yeah.
then he made Amelie.
And then he
Like
made
that.
Emily,
Emily.
yeah.
Yeah.
Look, we don't have the most
And
original
then he
takes.
made Micmacs.
Oh yeah. We don't have the most original takes, but sometimes we'll point out a guy in the background that's a bit funny looking. And we'll go,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of funny looking guys in
Oh,
that.
my God,
And
yeah.
they're not
God.
in the background. We're talking foregrounds.
Oh, yeah.
We got that guy from Delicatessen, another movie made by him.
Yeah.
That little weird guy. And
Yeah.
Ron Perlman, a big weird guy.
He's a
Very
big,
big.
weird guy, yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys. Anything else you want to push our dear return shoot rats
I think
towards?
you covered it, yeah? That's the things that we do?
Yeah.
Podcast and YouTube?
Yeah, a
got
lot of good movies
Instagram?
out there.
Yeah.
You got
That awesome,
Instagram.
that
We're not-
awesome video store that closed down?
Yeah, I don't know what it is now. It might be a fish and chip shop or something.
There you
Might be
go.
another charcoal chicken. Might be competing charcoal
Check
chicken
it
store.
out.
Yeah, I'm not sponsored by Tubi, but get on Tubi.
Get on Tubi.
it's
Yeah,
a lot of-
Tubi is a bastion
Yeah,
out there.
encourage
you
it.
know? Yeah.
I mean, I'd take their money, but they don't have any. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
we'll take their movies.
Yeah, we'll take them.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks for joining me, gang.
Thank you.
And be kind and rewind those movies.
Absolutely.
The last video store.
Thank you for checking out the last video store with me, your host, Alexi Toliopoulos. Please subscribe, follow, share the podcast amongst your friends as well. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, Last Video Store Batuta. So check us out and share us in all of those places. And if you want your own bespoke customized recommendation from me, you can submit an online order at any of those places in a comment, in a 5-star review with your weeklies and your new release pick. And I will come to you like I did at the top of this episode and give you a recommendation based on your taste. So thank you very much. Love you. Love movies.